from the darkness. Merry Christmas! Hey, day 24, actually the 25th. I'm here to just tell you that you're freaking awesome. And do you like novel, philosophical, mind-expanding concepts and ideas? If you do, well, then tune in. Do you have an ego? We all do, don't we? Now, have you ever noticed how egos, if they are in the driver's seat of the person's life, they tend to create conflict? And when I say an ego, it's the, I am me, and I must show everybody that I am me, and it's very important that everyone knows that I am me, and I am obviously really good and probably better than most. That is what I'm referring to when I say the ego. Funny thing though, the ego naturally progresses to the next acknowledgement, which is that there are many egos. There are as many egos as there are incarnations, as there are physical, manifested, conscious beings like you and I. So the ego knows that it's not alone. It knows that it's in reality not the best, but it attempts to be if it's an unhealthy ego, where the ego is in the driver's seat of life. On the other hand, you may have spirit, or your soul, whatever you might want to call it, in the driver's seat of your life. So here is my question to your ego, now that we're in this philosophical journey. The ego likes to look at itself as the first, number one. What if we let ego be number one? If we do, what comes before one? Is there a number before number one? Hey, this is what I've noticed with a healthy ego. Your ego becomes tremendously healthy when it worships the void. When your ego embraces its predecessor, its ancestor, the number 0. The ego is the number one. It's the masculine, penetrating the world with its awesomeness. But then you have this amazing, divine field of potential, of seeming nothingness. It's very hard to see the field that the number 0 creates, because it's nothing. If it's nothing, it can be everywhere, at every time. If it's concrete, if it's manifested, if it's manifested from the quantum field of potential into a particle, as we know from quantum physics, for those of you who know that. If not, just scratch that and follow the flow. If you have something like an ego, the number 1 and out to number 9, possibly beyond, although those are just combinations. Those are actually manifested energies that are very specific and all beautiful reflections of the whole, but very, framed in to one specific vibration. This is why in mathematics we know that there is a huge difference between, obviously there's a huge difference between 0 and 1, though that's possibly the most incredible difference that exists in mathematics, if you ask me. But you also have a huge difference between the number 2 and 1. Although there are 2 1s in 2. And then there's a huge difference between all these numbers and the number 3. They all have unique vibrations. If that makes sense, can you feel the resonance with that? If not, look up what people refer to when they say vibration. There's a unique energy to each number. And the numbers 0 through 9 are very interesting to study because they have unique foundational energies in how they interact with other numbers, mathematical, numerological energies. So, as an ego journeying through life, you may have to go through number one, staying in, in this society. We think we have to be the one, we have to be better, we have to be the best, we have to win, and we have to be number one. It's the ego journey. Very, very unhealthy if it's not rooted, grounded, and acknowledging, literally worshipping the zero. There is no space for the number one to exist if there was no space to hold it, if there was no zero before. So what number comes before one? Obviously zero. Zero comes before one. Out of zero, everything has the room to become. As I said, this is a philosophical video. I just wanted to share it with you. I think it's worth pondering, because if you understand, there are certain wise men of our time and of the past, geniuses, the likes of Einstein and Nikola Tesla, who says that if you understand mathematics, you understand the basic language of the universe. If you understand the basics of the language of the universe, you are pretty proficient already. This is why I've studied numbers myself. And to complete that ego story, in society we go from number one. We're told be one, be one, be one, be someone, and rise above and be one. Not love zero, acknowledge space, be present with potential, honor the womb of creation. Those are not the most common things to hear in our society. It's more like you have to be number one, work hard, go for your dreams, set a goal, become better than anyone ever thought you could be. And if you continue that journey without being rooted and grounded with the number zero, with love, it's unconditional love, that's zero. It represents an unjudging field that says I room everything that is in existence. But if you are not rooted there, you'll go through 1, you'll go through 2, you'll go through 3, you'll go through 4, and all the way to 9. And if you're lucky, you may look at the space between 9 and 10. In numerology, 10 is the number 0, 11 is the number 2, 12 is the number 3, because you add every number up. So if you can't see the lines between the lines, if you can't see the message between the message, then people have wandered through life without ever acknowledging the zero again. They were thrown out of the love for number 0 at some point, and they don't remember how beautiful it was. I encourage you to study that. Study the field of love. Study the field of quantum potential. Study the double-slit experiment that was even, made out in the minds of a certain scientist in the 1880s or something, and, proven during the 1990s something. Quantum slit experiment shows that a light particle isn't really a particle. It can be both a wave, like an ocean, a field, and a particle, concrete, manifested, physical substance. And the one that decides, the deciding factor of that quantum particle's behavior is the observer. It's changed by the fact that something, like a conscious creator like you, observes it. So, study these things, become acquainted with the number 0, honor it, honor that field that allows you to exist, and begin from that space. Then you will never have a problem with your own ego or anyone else's ego. It won't be anywhere close to what it used to if you ever had trouble with that. You'll bring a field of love wherever you go, a field of potential, if you want that word. Let's be a little more mathematic and grounded into masculinity, and attempt to merge with everyone else's society instead of being ourselves. So let's say represent the field of potential. If you don't want to use the word love, don't use it. I'm just saying what it is. I'm honoring that to the fullest of my capability in any moment. And I think it's a good thing to do, and I feel it's a really good thing to do. But call it whatever you want. Just honor it. Just acknowledge it. You are here. You could not exist without this air, this space that gave you space. You couldn't be birthed if you weren't birthed into something. That space is what I'm talking about. Honor that. I love you. I hope you have a great day. As always, yeah, love, just love. Why not? Acknowledge potential. Be wise and see that everyone has room to exist. You can't control that. This is nature, natural law. Whatever exists has been allowed to exist by nature, by default. So find a way to love that too. And now focus towards becoming a conscious masculine ego. When you have tamed the ego with love, you become the masculine divine creator. You can use that energetic knowledge to actually create something that is beyond what you were ever told by goal setters, by motivational speakers, by society and teachers. Many people have told you the truth as well. I hope you remember them. And there's nothing wrong with those who told you something else. I'm just pointing out something that is here in duality. Now come back to non-duality, to the potential field of love, to the field of potential. This is where you can pull any idea out of the ether and choose if you want to concretize it, make it into particles, manifest it, and have inspired action on it, or fractalize it, expand it, and ride the wave of the rainbow dragon of imagination. It's up to you. Good night.